We're back with another episode. We're back with another episode of Britt Says, and Lord, I am running late this week. You hear me? It is late, and I am filming this episode. And hey, I'm here though, and I am happy. This week has been this week. You know, it's like one of those weeks. You know how that go, where you just like go through your ebbs and flows. One day you're having a good week, then you might be having a bad week, whatever the case may be. This week is like whatever. I was doing the most. I was cooking, doing my makeup, watching TV, trying to get ready for Britt Says. Just like but we're here, we're back, and we're doing a real topic today. I don't have nothing crazy that happened this week. Nothing interesting that I could talk about like I usually do. But yeah, you know, the past 2 weeks of the episode, I gave you a little fun, lighten up the mood. I'll be transitioning back, toning things down. This episode is called Truth Is. Alright, so in an article written on... Oh, I hate when this happens. Okay, in an article titled, Can You Handle the Truth? Written by Jennifer Kuntz, she writes, how would our lives be better if we face the truth? Mental health involves being able to face life in a realistic way, to take the good with the bad, the strengths with the limitations, the love with the hate, the joys with the disappointments. Finding that kind of balance is a lifelong task, but it is a balance worth seeking because it allows us to do what we can do to make our lives the best that can be. As I like to say to my patients, you cannot become an entirely different person, but you can become a better version of yourself. Okay, so, you know, it's the truth, you know. Mental health involves being able to face life in a realistic way. And it's hard, you know, to hear the truth, to know the truth, to get the truth, to embrace the truth, right? Can I handle the truth? You know, that's the first question. That's a big question to start with. No, I can't. Not always, you know, it's not always can I handle the truth, but you know what? I take it. I feel like I'm the type of person who, you know what? Actually, I'm lying. I feel like somebody would be able to tell me something about myself and I wouldn't understand it. So when I say that, I mean like, I really didn't get it. It wasn't that I couldn't handle it. I didn't understand. And when I say understand, it's like somebody will tell me I do this or I do that. And I'm like, I don't get it. Like, I feel like, and that could be not being able to handle the truth. Like, let's say for instance, you always think you're right? But they're not giving me an example. And it is hard to give examples because sometimes people will tell me like, give me an example in general for anything. Not even just like, oh, you always think you're right. Or it could be like, show me, I don't know how to make something. Give me an example. And I really don't know how to give an example. So sometimes too, when we give the truth, we got to be specific in what we're talking about and how we're saying it or whatever the case may be, because I really wouldn't understand what the person meant or whatever the case may be. Like, I mean, I get what you're saying, but in what sense? And I think that with growth, though, you eventually realize what people are talking about. Like, you know, Femi would tell me things about myself, and for some reason, I would get it. Because, you know, he would tell me in the moment. And so I would learn things about myself in that moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I get what he's trying to say. And then it hurts too, because you start thinking about times where you've done it in the past. And it's nothing to get upset about when you learn something about yourself that you need to change. I think we need to understand that. Like, don't get upset. You know what I'm saying? just, you know, take it for what it is. You know, don't get upset. Don't think about the past, because you know how you realize something about yourself, a flaw about yourself, and then after that, once you realize the flaw about yourself, you kind of, you kind of start thinking about all the times you ever did that thing or whatever the case may be. So don't let it get to you or whatever the case may be. It is hard to handle the truth. I think lately I can handle the truth, because I really don't, not like I don't care, I do care. I do want to change. Don't get it twisted. I do care. I do want to change. It's just that I'm not letting it consume me. Anything, if somebody has any truths to tell me. I mean, it hasn't been too often recently, but I'm quite sure somebody told me something, be like, all right, whatever, you know, I try to fix it. I'm trying to work on myself every day. So yeah. Why is the truth so important? I think the truth is very, 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 very important, because we gotta change, you know, and you don't want to be walking around, you know, living foul. You feel me? Like, it's good to know the truth. It's good to know your ups and your downs, your downfalls, or whatever the case may be. So you need to know the truth, even if you don't want to hear it. It's good to know, like, for real. I know some people just like, I'd rather live in the dark, you know, I'd rather not know the truth. And I mean the truth, when I talk about truth, I'm talking about everything. Like, know the truth about yourself, know the truth about, you know, your husband cheating on you, or if you a man, your wife cheating on you, something, child. Like, literally knowing the truth is so important. And just so you could live in peace and you're not out here looking stupid. The truth is all about just living with purpose, I feel like, too. A lot of people sleep on that idea of, you know, if you don't know the truth, you may not want to know it, but it's good to know things, even if it's gonna hurt you, because, like I said, you don't want to be out here looking crazy. And also, you know, you need the truth. Like, I can't, it's like, you need to know what's going on, because then you out here and you're not really privy to stuff. You don't know what's going on. Like, the truth is so important. Like, I feel like it's often slept on too, because I feel like that is a common thing that people say too. Don't, like, let's say somebody's cheating, they say don't go searching for nothing. I do believe you don't need to search for anything, because I do believe that whatever's in the dark always comes to light. So sometimes people say don't go searching for nothing. You know, they say what he don't know or what she doesn't know won't hurt them or whatever, right? Which is true, but it's like, it could, a lot of things have more impact than we think, right? So, you know, let's say you go to the doctor or something and they ask you, how many brothers and sisters do you have? You don't know you had a secret sister. Or maybe they, like, you could get caught up in some mess because of something you don't know about. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, it becomes too much when you don't know the truth. You feel me? That's just my opinion. Like, it becomes too much. Like, you have to live in your truth. You have to know the truth. The truth always comes out to me, regardless, to me anyway. I feel like no matter how much you try to run from it, it's gonna always come out, period. So it doesn't even really matter. How to grasp something you didn't want to hear. So that's what the truth is about, right? This is why we can't really handle the truth anyway, because we're hearing things we don't want to hear. You just gotta take it. Like, at the end of the day, some people reach that denial phase, like, that's not true, that didn't happen, that's not happening, that's not how I act, that's not how I behave. I think one of the most common truths we don't want to hear is about, like, ourselves. But then again, relationship stuff is about ourselves, right? And also, I think we need to talk about too, you know, people not telling us the truth to not hurt our feelings and things like that, right? Not telling the truth is a form of not communicating, and when you don't communicate certain things, there's a lot of confusion, a lot of haywire. You know what I'm saying? It creates too much, like it creates weird relationships. Like let's say you are in a friendship and you're not telling your friend the truth about something they did or something they said, or it's creating a weird awkwardness in your relationships and your friendships and things like that when you don't bring up things you don't like, right? Or bring up things that happen because you're constantly thinking about it, right? Let's say somebody said or did something to you don't like, right? You didn't tell them the truth. You didn't tell them like, oh, I didn't like this, blah, 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 right? So now you kind of like, I'm not going to tell them what they did I didn't like. I'm going to just fall back. And now that person is confused and they're like, why is this person not around me? Why are they not coming around? What did I do? Did I do something wrong? Why is this person moving funny? I think too, another reason sometimes people don't want to tell the truth is ego and pride, right? We often think that people do know what they did wrong. I'm definitely one of those people. Let me speak on that. I do think people that know what they're doing. I'm telling you. Sometimes too, people don't really know what, maybe in the moment, they don't really know what they're doing, right? But then when you start moving funny, they realize what they're doing. Does that make sense? Like, so I feel like people do always know what they're doing, right? Because let's say something happens, right? And I feel like somebody is behaving differently, right? My first reaction is, let me make sure my phone is silent. My first reaction is, what did I do to this person? Did I do anything wrong? Did I say anything? Like, if something was to ever happen where I feel like somebody's mood or personality is shifting, right? Or I'm going to think like, oh, maybe something is happening in their life. And there's a lot of y'all that really don't ever want to hold yourself accountable, right? You always want to be like, well, I didn't do nothing, so I don't know why she moving funny. Maybe something going on in her life right now. And I think with the big mental health craze, we often don't hold ourselves accountable. We often think that people are just going through things. And that is sometimes indeed true. Sometimes people are just going through things. That is a fact. But sometimes it's you. And I think we need to get back into that. That might be an episode where I have to do talking about like the mental health craze. Like when mental health is getting carried away. Because I do feel like mental health is a real issue, right? But I feel like sometimes people want to put that above things, above them. You get what I'm saying? Like, no, you know, this person might not just be going through something. You hung out with them a week or two ago. You might have did or said something and you not holding yourself accountable for it. You just saying, oh, he or she might be going through something. You get what I'm saying? No, you did some shit to piss them off. You catch my drift? Like, you might have did something, you feel me? Like, or maybe you said you was gonna show up for this event or do something. You've been saying you gonna be here for me more than one time. You said, oh, I'm gonna come through, and you ain't come through, and now I'm fed up and that's why I don't fuck with you, right? But those type of people, sometimes they're like, oh, she might be going through some stuff. I'm surprised she moving funny, or he moving funny. Like, no, I'm not fucking with you. Ain't no mental health, boo-boo, you're canceled. Like, for real. Like, a lot of times people are really not holding themselves accountable because of this mental health stuff. You know what I'm saying? And though still, I don't, whose fault is it, right? Whose fault is it when, is it the person's fault who didn't communicate, right? Who didn't tell the truth about how they felt? Or is it the person's fault? When a relationship gets bad, whose fault is it? Is it the person who didn't communicate how they feel? Or is it the person who, what's the word I'm thinking of? Who said it? I think it's both parties. I think obviously the person who said or did something they didn't like started it. But sometimes those people also got some other stuff going on too, right? And this is why they haven't been showing up to events. Let's say I'm using a very broad example. You know, I think it's a common thing. Like, this person probably hasn't been showing up to stuff. Maybe they have a big workload, or maybe somebody in their family is sick and they don't want to talk to you about it. Maybe they're sick. Shit. Right? But that's also a communication barrier. But what is the difference between boundaries and barriers? And it's just like a lot. Life is really a lot. Like, oh my God. I think communication is key. But the thing is, too, with communication and your truth, right? The thing with truth is, you don't owe everybody your motherfucking business, bitch. And you don't owe everybody the truth in certain situations, right? So if you're cheating on your partner, because that's considered lying, that's considered not telling the truth, you owe that person the truth for a variety of reasons. One, let's say you live in foul, you're not using protection, you owe that person the truth. If you are out cheating and maybe you're falling out of love, you owe that person the truth, so maybe they could start moving forward with their life. Okay, you literally owe that person the truth. Like, some people are really confused as to when you owe someone the truth. Like, a lot of times you dead owe people the truth. Like, for real, like real talk. Like, if you in a relationship with somebody, I feel like, especially in relationships, the marriage, a boyfriend, girlfriend, I think one of the most complex things that come with relationships like that, with a partner, like a partnership love, is truth. Like, for real. Like, for real. You always should be telling each other the truth. Because if in a relationship, if you want to form love and start a family and buy homes, and y'all, especially marriage and relationships and moving in with people, those things require serious tasks and liabilities. Like buying a house with somebody, both of your names are on the deed. Buying a car, these are things that could fuck up your credit. Having kids, bringing life into the world, like you're bringing humans into the world. I think you always have to be honest with each other. I think with love and relationships, you cannot, I repeat, you cannot not tell the truth. I don't give a fuck what it is. You have to always be telling the truth, no matter what. Deadass. I really believe that. Like, I really believe in love, there is no lying. There is no hiding. I don't give a fuck about that. Oh, what don't know won't hurt them. Shit might fucking hurt, B. Okay, you laying up with somebody now, somebody got chlamydia, or herpes, or AIDS, bitch. Right? You compromising me. You feel me? Or, you know, if you married and now I see this big dip in my credit score, or whatever the case may be, because you went out and bought something and didn't tell me, there's a lot of liability in love and responsibility. You out doing something crazy. And because partnerships are such a they can be long term, and such it requires so much. It could cause so much problems if you don't tell the truth. Like, financially, emotionally, or by lying, right? And not telling someone how you feel about them, you can end up really, you know, not ruining. Well, hey, you can end up pretending to love someone, and now you wasting their fucking life. You get what I'm saying, right? Because maybe had you told them, like, you know, I'm not really in love with you no more, blase, blase, because you want to have your cake and eat it too. They could have moved on. They could have had a different life. They could have found a new love, somebody who really loves them or care about them. Or, you know, it's a lot. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like with love, that ain't something to play with, bitch. Like, for real. I think you should always be telling the truth when you are in in a loving relationship. I think that's a requirement, like for real. And I think that's not something that's commonly taught. Is like that's something so small, like telling the truth. I think even in marriage, I haven't ever done that, but I don't think that we talk too much about that. And I feel like that's something that really needs to be discussed, is really just talking about telling, you know, the truth, and always constantly being honest with your partner. Because I think that's a key factor in a strong relationship. How do you tell someone the truth? Straight up. You know, we talk about keeping it real, bitch, being real. That's how you keep it real. You just say it. I think we so scared. You know, I think it's in 2021. We need to just start telling people the truth. The other thing too, I feel like with truth, is that, like, for me, right, if I want to tell somebody a way I feel about them, I feel like they feel like I think I'm perfect, right? So sometimes we're scared to tell the truth because we feel like once I start telling the truth, then they gonna start telling the truth, then they gonna start saying like, oh, who you think you are, like da 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 da, like, and that might happen. You know, it's a lot to take it could happen, right? You only could do what you can, though, at the end of the day. Like, for real. Like, you just gotta do it. And you gotta expect that you might get backlash. It's fine. Like, it's okay to get backlash. Like, how many times have you had downfalls or arguments with people and y'all still bounce back? If that relationship don't bounce back or whatever, that wasn't real. That person wasn't somebody you was cool with. That person's probably somebody you didn't even really want to be cool with or fuck with like that, honestly. Like, honestly. I mean, what can you do? I mean, that's all you could do is just tell the truth. I think 2021 we should start telling people the truth. I think it's so important with growth and transition and things. Transition sound mad random, but like, you know, just, you know, becoming a better and renewed person. I think that too. I think it comes with a lot of pride and ego. Like, people think that telling the truth it can be like, who the do she think she is, like, for real? Like, cause let's say you start telling somebody about themselves, like, honestly, I feel like sometimes you just be like doing shit, moving funny, and I don't like that. And another thing you do is blah blah blah. Like, so when you telling somebody the truth about themselves, it really does sound like you think you're perfect. It's not that I think I'm perfect. I'm just letting you know about yourself today. You get what I'm saying? And I think that we need to, like, make sure that that's being discussed. Like, it's not about I think I, you know everything, or I think I'm perfect and that's why I'm telling you the truth. No, we're just telling each other, you know, the truth, or whatever the case may be. It's really, you know, nothing we can do about that. Like, we just happen to be telling each other the truth. Well, I'm telling you the truth, and I think that's another reason why people are afraid to tell the truth. And you gotta be able to do that, but then again, you can't gauge that. I was gonna say, do that with somebody that you think is a mature person, right? But I mean, I'm at the age where I'm pushing 30. I hope that by 30 we can do the truth. I don't like to put pressure on the age 30 and 30 somethings that we gotta be these perfect human beings and we gotta have it together. But I think at minimum, and I'm saying at minimum, we should be able to try, because all we can do is try, to be able to handle the truth with one another. That's all we could really, really do. So the real way you just tell somebody the truth is just say it and be prepared to expect backlash. Be prepared to maybe get yelled at or whatever. Just be prepared, and you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. We'll be fine. Is the truth always necessary for someone to hear? I already said this. In a relationship, I think the truth is always necessary. In friendships, relationships, and things like that, or work as an example, right? Do you gotta tell everybody about themselves? Is it really impacting you? Like, sometimes, you know what? I don't think in certain situations it's required. Some people are just who they are. Like work, you're not really tied to those people. So it's good to tell somebody about themselves every once in a while in a very sarcastic, worky way, but I don't think it's always required. Only in a relationship and love, I think it's always required. But sometimes it's not your job. Like, for real. Sometimes it's really not your job to play mental health therapist. Because telling the truth is also, you know, like you basically telling like, look, around the job, around the parts, everybody is viewing you as the angry, mean person. And honestly, you're very angry. You're very, like, that's not really a job, you know. If it's hurting you, if you seen this person as being a bully, then yes, I think by all means, you know, play superhero. But sometimes it's not your place to be telling people about themselves. Like, some people be getting carried away with that shit. Like, always want to tell somebody about their fucking self. Like, relax, for real. Like, I think sometimes and it depends on how close you are with that person as well, right? If you're not that close with that person, that's why I brought up work. Like, we're not even really that close with people at work. I feel like at work, sometimes we tell people will be the minimum. Some people tell some people their whole life. I think it's the job of someone very close to them to tell them about themselves sometimes. Because with you, if you're not extremely close to that person and you're telling them something that's so, usually the truth is never easy, right? You're telling them something that might make them feel vulnerable or make them feel hurt, and you're not even that cool with them. That's kind of like rude, and they might not even believe it's true because they're like, this person don't even really know me. Like, they didn't grow up with me. Like, they probably gonna take what the fuck you said with a grain of salt. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like you gotta pick and choose your battles. Like, sometimes everything is not meant for you to say, right? And that's the thing that, you know, that's talked about. You know, reading the room, knowing your place. A lot of people don't know their place. Like, was that your place to tell that person that, right? You know how, like, you know, going back to telling people about their husband doing infidelity. Is it your place to tell them that, or was it their husband's? You get what I'm saying? Like, some certain stuff is really not meant for you to tell somebody. Like, for real talk. Like, if you're not cool with that person, or if y'all not on that real close level, who the hell are you to feel like you was able to tell that person that, or to tell somebody about themselves? Like, for real. Like, a lot of time, I really do think it's not always necessary. I think it's necessary for people to hear the truth, but maybe not from you per se, right? You gotta know who you could talk to and what you could tell a person, right? For instance, right? I think commonly by the time you get older, you know, as a friend, you can't really tell somebody what to do in a relationship, right? I don't feel comfortable telling my friends what to do in a relationship. You can vent to me, right? And I think a lot of us are like that. We know not to dabble in nobody's relationship life unless it's bringing them danger, right? Unless the person is abusive or something like that. Then yes, I think it's important to interfere. But for the most part, a lot of times, you know, it's not really our place. Like, you feel like as a friend it's your place, but like, the most you're supposed to say is like, look, even bitch, sometimes, here we go, we're talking about lying, right? If you want to be like, you know, things will get better, even though you might not think it might not get better, that's not your place. It's a weird spectrum. I think, see, relationships and stuff is a finicky topic. Like, I think that's one of the places where you don't tell your friends the truth, right? Sometimes some people need to hear it. With certain situations, I do. I feel like when something's going on for so long, oh my God. If it's going on for too long, like, it is bad, you gotta know it. Like, I'm not talking about, oh, they argue all the time. Every couple argue all the time. I'm talking about something where it's just like, girl, like, And sometimes you do have to tell your friends about their relationships. You know why? Because God forbid something happen, you want to make sure they don't look at it like you was entertaining them. You get what I'm saying? Entertaining their stupidity. Because that can happen like, oh, you're not a real friend. You never really told me what it was when I was dating Darian. Da 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 da. Like, you always entertained the bullshit that was going on because you didn't want to hurt their feelings, right? So you got to know how to really communicate your truths to people. For real. Like, you got to be like, make sure you're saying, do what's best for you. And even still, though, the person might get mad. Like, you never told me what it was. And look, you tell them, look, I never wanted to get involved in your relationship squabbles. And I didn't know how to tell you the truth. I love you. I'm sorry that this happened. I didn't know how to tell you about this person. I mean, yeah, sometimes not telling the truth could get you into some troubles, though. And that, look, what do you want from me? I only can do but so much. So sometimes it could get you into some trouble. So you just gotta know how to gauge it. And yeah, no, the truth is not always necessary for people to hear. When do you know when the truth should be coming from you? So remember, I was just talking about that. Like, literally, the camera got freaking. Literally just talking about that. It's not always supposed to be coming from you. You know, it depends on the situation. You know, is it something that's impacting you sometimes, right? Because if it's not impacting you, then it's not meant to come from you. Like, that's a very, very great way to figure it out. Like, how is this impacting you, right? The truth, when you tell somebody the truth, is usually supposed to be told from the person that is impacting, right? Or even if it may not be impacting you, it's intruding on your life. Well, that is impacting you. Something's intruding on your life. How is this situation impacting you, right? And sometimes some people say, well, you know, that's my family member, that's my friend. I need to tell them whether it's not meant for me to tell them or not. You know what I'm saying? If it's not directly impacting you, I feel like it's probably not supposed to be coming from you. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes though, if that person keeps complaining to you about it, like, and it's not your situation, that's also telling the truth. Like, look, not to be mean, but I don't want to hear about this. That could be a form of, you know, having to tell people the truth and things like that. But for the most part, if it's not impacting you, you probably shouldn't be, you know, telling that truth. That's not your truth to tell. You know the term, whatever is in the dark comes to light. So why tell the truth? That's a good question. So that is a thing I was saying, is that people say whatever's in the dark comes to light. So there's no need for you to bring certain stuff up to certain people, because it's gonna come to the light anyway, right? I mean, it gotta come to the light some way, and you might be the light, honey. Okay. You know, but then again, you know, not to be, that's being literal. Sometimes things just come to light. Like, you might go somewhere and then find something you didn't want to see or something like that. And those things do happen. I do believe those things do happen. When you're not the one who's supposed to be telling that truth, that things will come to the light eventually. So, but I do think you need to tell the truth. If this comes upon your spirit to tell somebody something, then you should tell that person that, whatever you want to tell them. If it comes upon your spirit, then you should definitely, you know, tell your truth. I think so. I really, really believe that. You can't, even though that saying is true, you might really deadass be the light. You feel me? Like, it would have never came to light without you. you know. So the truth is sometimes meant to be told, you know, even though whatever is in the dark does come to light. It eventually comes to light. And maybe you might be the barrier that allows it to come to light in such a healthy way. Because sometimes things could come to light and it becomes haywire, or it might take too long and things might get bigger and badder. If it wasn't for you, I mean, it wouldn't have, you know, it would have got worse. But like I said, all of that stuff needs to be gauged and played out properly. When do you need to tell people the truth about their behavior traits? I think all the time, you know. Because the thing with behavioral traits is that they impact people, right? You hanging around this person and they're constantly being a nuisance or whatever. You know, I think those are things that always has to be talked about. And if that person doesn't want to change, I talk about change on this podcast, then it's up to you to decide if you want to be around that person. But make sure things are brought up. I have to teach myself that, like, make sure I'm bringing stuff up, right? Because I don't want to hear, oh, well, you never communicated that. Oh, you never told me that. Oh, you never said that. That used to be a common thing. And I used to be people's favorite excuse. That's why I'm big on, I think people know their behavior or whatever the case may be. But whatever. Just people pretend, or people may or may not know. Let me not say pretend, because sometimes people don't know. Sometimes people don't know what they're doing, how they're acting, how they're behaving. Fine. So it is your job to let that person know. For me, by telling people, look, I don't like this, I didn't like this, it is a protection for when I fucking move on and move forward. I have said this repeatedly, because back then, that's what people used to do, like, well, you never said that, so I feel like, dang, how you gonna just walk away and you didn't even tell me how you felt? Motherfucker, I did, and you're still doing what the fuck you doing. So it's important. It is a cover your ass situation, right? Because if you don't give a person a chance to change, then yeah, that's fucked up. You never even gave them a chance. You never even said, look, I don't like this, don't do this, don't say that, don't be this, don't be that. You never gave that person a chance. So it's leaving space to figure out, like, oh, maybe that person didn't know. Boom. No problem. But now that you brought it to their attention, you know, now you could say, if that person doesn't change, all right, it's time for me to leave. Also, too, by telling people about behavioral traits that you don't like, it's a good way to know, it's a good stepping stone to walk away. I hope that that's being said properly. Like, by telling people things you don't like, it's a good, easy way for you to be able to leave a situation you don't want to be in. Because you're doing the steps. You're like, okay, I don't like this, boom, boom, boom. So then when you start seeing they're not gonna change, you be like, ooh, that's not a person I really want to fuck with or be around. Cause I know who they are now. I know how they act. I know how they behave. I know what it is and what it ain't, type of thing. So I think it's helpful too, in a sense of, you can figure out, like, okay, I gotta leave this situation. When is it okay to cope with someone's behavior traits or whatever? I don't think ever. If you don't like something and you brought it up and they keep doing it, then why would you cope with that? Or maybe they could be like, well, it depends. Like, what if you don't like something about that person? And they don't like things about you, but they willing to deal with you, type shit. That's toxic, though. We shouldn't be dealing with everybody dealing with shit they don't like, and it has to be very minimal things, like very, 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 very minimal things that you really can withstand. Like, cause I get that none of us are perfect, and we all have faulty traits, but it's all about knowing what it is that you can handle and what it is that you can bear. And like I always say, that I feel like finding somebody you love and care about is all about finding your niche, your nook. Like, what is it that you can handle? What is it that you can take? Unfortunately, it's so unfortunate, right? in a sense, like, why we gotta deal with bullshit? Because we all got problems. So we talk about this. Top of season 4. It's so unfortunate. It's like one of those things that comes with life, and it's so sad that it's like one of those things that come with life. Is like we gotta deal with each other's bullshit, no matter what. Like, I really feel like we can't really run away from that. Like, we have to deal with each other's bullshit. You gonna have to deal with somebody's bullshit. It's about choosing which bullshit you want to deal with. And I'm sorry, that is really dead ass the truth. Like, for real. Like, that's really the truth. Unless you want to be, by yourself, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's some people who, like, when they get older, they like, I'm done dating. Those grown ass people, like, I can't deal with nobody bullshit but mine. Hey, maybe, maybe, but I am a firm believer that you're gonna have to deal with people's shit one way or the other. Like, that's just that on that. Like, there's no running away from that. Like, you gonna have to deal with some people's behavioral traits, unfortunately. But as long as you're expressing it, maybe you find something that you can deal with, as long as they do it in a manageable way, right? It's hard, it's scary, it's sad. Like, you telling somebody something and they dead not changing. I told y'all, child, I don't know. But this is one of the shorter episodes, surprisingly, because I thought I was gonna be able to rant. But yeah, I'm here. You already know how I do. And yeah, I'm gonna see you guys next week. I hope you guys enjoyed the topic. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you write, comment, leave a review. If you are streaming, give it 5 stars and leave a comment. Thanks, guys. See you next